We are about to embark on an immersive journey through the corridors of our minds. Stand by as we prepare for departure.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to the Productivity with Peace of Mind podcast adventure. Our journey will begin in just a moment. Inhale deeply and exhale. Our voyage takes us on a captivating tour, diving deep into the intricate layers of our thoughts and imagination. Brace yourselves for the complexities of our evolution. For a safe and enjoyable journey, stay seated, secure your helmet and protective goggles, and keep hands, feet, and legs inside while the ride is moving. Now relax and enjoy.
What if I told you the secret to a successful day isn't found in all of these activities that we do and the things that we accomplish throughout the day itself, but in the intentional and mindful moments of your morning routine? Morning routines are not something I was always good at. I've talked about this in another episode where I struggled with trying to overachieve and accomplish so much more by committing to more than I could actually do, and therefore doing so much less because I would quit or give up or be distracted. And it was more than what was actually realistically manageable. But the things that we do and the way that we spend our time in those first waking moments, minutes, and hours truly do set the tone for our entire day. And there's a lot of stuff out there about morning routines, and you might even be sick of hearing about it. But here's the thing, if we're not actually doing it and taking action, and you might even think, oh, I've heard that 20 times, I already know this. But consider how you're actually spending your mornings. Are you waking up with anxiety? Are you waking up with a sense of dread or panic about maybe what you said or did the day before, or what you need to do today, or maybe what you didn't prepare for that you now have to go do today? So the thing you didn't do yesterday that's now going to impact your future. And that's the disconnect between our past selves and our future selves. But we have the ability to repair that and to bridge that gap. And it took me a while, and I've had ups and downs and a varying relationship with my own morning routines. But I did eventually get there. There were times where I would way overcommit and not end up getting it done. Or actually, if you overcommit or do too much, and when I was going through yoga teacher training, I mentioned this before, but I would, if I'm trying to do 20 to 30 pranayama and, different yoga practices or Ayurvedic practices, I might actually feel more exhausted. And the result is actually counterintuitive. So I'm now able to kind of block off some time for, well, I might, commit to that time in the mirror and that connection that I have with myself and some intentional movement and something for my mind, whether it's reading or writing or listening to a meditation. I then have that open time to sit on the couch and look at the mountains through the window with a warm cup of coffee in my hands. And there's not pressure to get a bunch of things done right away. But I am getting the most important things done first so that my cup is full. And that allows us to show up so much more and show up better for everyone else throughout the rest of our day. If we start frantic, we continue frantic. If we start calm, we continue calm. It really is the tone for our entire day. So, if you are ready to prioritize your own self care and fuel your productivity and fulfillment for each day, this episode is for you. So, we're going to talk about the power of our morning routine, how to overcome some challenges that can come up in the way, different components of how to make them effective so it actually reaches our greater goals, and the benefits of being consistent because I know how hard that can be. And with our morning routines, when we show ourselves that we're able to show up for us every single day, no matter what capacity, there's going to be time to slow down and be intentional. And we do that regularly, both our relationship with ourselves improves and so do our results. So, when we talk about the power of a morning routine and the effect that that can have, you want to think about the energy that you're creating, the focus that you're deciding to have. Because let's say, for example, you wake up panicked. This is very common with people with anxiety. And there have been times in my life where nearly every morning I would wake up in complete panic mode, completely full of anxiety and totally stressed out, just worrying about every little thing that probably already went wrong or will go wrong very soon. This is not helpful. And if we just jump into our day with this kind of frame of mind, think about how you're approaching problems. It's probably not very easy to solve. Things can feel a lot harder. So, thinking about, okay, these are the things over here high level that I want to achieve, and then we come back to this is how I'm currently waking up. This is the state of mind that I'm having in the morning. So, what is our goal? Let's say, we want to feel calm so that we can show up every day in our professional career because we're working toward a promotion. Or maybe we are growing a business and we want to be that eye of the storm, no matter what's going on around us, because entrepreneurship can be a wild, wild journey. And we want our team to see that we are in control of ourselves because that sets the tone for them. So think about that greater goal that you have and how you're currently showing up. Okay. So then we want to look at what do you need to do to reverse that, to flip it. Maybe you are going to do a download of all of your worries and you write them all down. I have a tool called the Worry Wand, and you can take a note on how to do this and try this tomorrow morning. So, what you want to do is grab a notebook and write down all of your worries. So, you'll start at the top and say, I worry XYZ employee is upset with me because I overreacted when they made a mistake. I worry I won't have time this week to complete everything I want to complete in order to hit the milestones for some bigger goals I've set for the month. I worry I'm not good enough. I worry about a family member's illness. I worry about my own illness. I worry about my own health. I worry I'm overweight. You can see the pattern. So write those all out. And you can write for as long as you want. Usually about 5 to 10 minutes is enough. And when you're done, circle the top 5 to 10 worries that are maybe feel the strongest or stand out the most to you. Then beneath that, rewrite those 5 to 10 statements, focusing on what's in your control and what's true. So let's say the worry is I worry about my current health condition, insert whatever that might be for you or for someone else or for a family member. The new statement to think about what you're in control of is that maybe you're in control of learning about that health condition and what you can do and what is in your control. Maybe you make changes in your diet. Maybe you learn about preventative measures on how not to make it worse. Or maybe you learn how to manage the pain until you can learn more and find the next step you need to take to reach your results. So that's one way we could start our morning by reframing how we're thinking and where our mind is at. So it's kind of reprogramming those thoughts and getting us back to a good place. Other things we could do is gratitude. So another super common one, but common for a reason because it works. So taking time to either just think through, say out loud, or write down the good news. I love asking myself this question. What's the good news? And I ask it myself, I ask it from my teams, I ask it from people in my life. Like, what's the good news? Because I always want to reprogram my frame of thinking from anxiety and worry, which is common for me, to a place of, okay, but there's still good. Life doesn't come without duality. So we can choose to think about everything that might go wrong, or we can think about the good news. And there's always good news because bad doesn't exist without good. And I also want to touch on not just kind of those very first morning things that we're doing, such as exercise and movement, and, maybe drinking something good for our health, like a warm water with lemon or apple cider vinegar. There's so many things out there that a lot of different people do in the morning. So it's not just those self care pieces, time to think, time to process, time to meditate, time to clean out our minds and think clearly or move our body. But this can also be paired with steps toward our bigger goals. So let's say you do your mindfulness, you do your movement, you take your shower, whatever you're doing in the morning. You brush your teeth, you put on your makeup, all of that good stuff. And if you when you we have time before we start our day, or maybe it's the very start of our day, and we have a greater goal of writing a book, for example, or working on a specific project, it's so critical that those things that are the most important for us happen first in our day because the day can get taken away from us, the disruptions can happen. We all know how that goes in professional careers, whether you are running your own business or working in a corporate career, things can come up and derail our intentions. So when we get that most important thing done first, before everything else, it really does make it so much more easier. And it does give us that peace of mind because you're not getting to the end of the day thinking, oh, I'm so exhausted. I don't have the capacity for this. I no longer have the, maybe inspiration or creativity to write or produce or create or make something beautiful when I've just gone through a whole day of emailing or meetings or talking to my team on maybe challenges that have come up. We've wasted all of our good morning energy and brain space on things that weren't necessarily as important. So I think it's important to add that into that putting those things that are most important at the beginning of the day can help drastically. And another thing to note is that when we put ourselves first and start improving our relationship with ourselves, this magical little thing happens where we're suddenly so much more patient, so much more kind and compassionate, and we actually have more to give and we're able to serve others better. And so I hear this so often where people will say to me, I put everybody else first and I really don't have time to do these things for myself. But the funny thing is, the ironic piece of that is that when you put yourself first and when you take time to get yourself into a calm and regulated space where you filled yourself up, that resentment of because we don't even realize it's resentment, but there's this resentment that comes from putting ourselves last and not doing what we wanted to do first and serving others first, where we're actually giving less. We're actually showing up in a lesser capacity where they're not actually getting what they want and we're not giving them what we want to be able to give them, right? We're not showing up as our best and we know it. So when we take care of ourselves first, it really allows us to give from a bigger cup. And we just have so much more to give. Now let's talk about challenges that can come up with morning routines. I've already shared some personal struggles of myself, whether it was overcommitting or, I've also had times where I don't necessarily want to do the same thing every day. So there's been phases of my life where I wasn't doing a morning routine because I didn't want to do the same thing every time, but I still needed that time to myself. So I eventually had to learn, okay, I can actually block space for that spaciousness and not necessarily commit to how I was going to spend it. And it's kind of similar to what I do now, where it's general movement or general mindfulness. And then I get to pick, okay, today I want to meditate. Today I want to write in my journal, or today I want to read this book that is on something for my mind that I'm growing in or learning about. And that is the way that I will serve my mind this morning. So it's okay to give yourself that flexibility. The value of starting with a more specific routine, like maybe I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, I'm going to connect with myself in the mirror. I'm going to do 10 minutes of yoga and then I'm going to journal for 10 minutes. That specific, or maybe read a page out of a certain, daily readings book, a very specific routine in the beginning, if this is brand new to you, can help because it helps you build that muscle and, like we've talked about, improve that relationship with yourself. But over time, that you can be more flexible. And it doesn't mean that you are always tied to the same thing. In my consistency episode, we talk about how after a certain amount of time, we can reevaluate. So just know that you are partnering with you and you can have meetings with yourself and say, all right, this is what I've been doing. I set this commitment and I showed up and I did this, but this thing over here didn't work. Maybe 10 minutes of yoga wasn't actually that beneficial. And you ended up feeling like a 20-minute hit workout in the morning was better. And maybe you want to do yoga at night because it made you too tired. So you wanted to stay awake, whatever it is, you get to reevaluate what works for you. So never let the like rigidness of it has to be exactly this way, or I'm stuck in, a certain routine or list of things that I need to do, or I need to get 20 to 30 things like I tried to do in my yoga teacher training and then failed. So don't let that stop you. Be flexible with yourself. Allow for, certain negotiable practices and be open to adjustments. But the number one thing that I would say is to start by blocking off time in your morning for that time for yourself. This is what's going to create your mindset that will carry with you for the rest of your day. So maybe you wake up at 6 and you're going to block off from 6 to 9. Let's say your workday starts at 9. And so you're blocking off those set of hours, and you might pick a few things to start with, or maybe you're picking general things. Maybe you've tried a million types of morning routines before and they didn't work. And so you want to keep it open, like I do now. And you have 30 minutes for some kind of movement that feels good for you, that's intentional for your greater goals. Maybe it's improve flexibility, maybe it's weight loss, maybe it's muscle growth and strength training. Whatever that is, take some time to block that time, first of all, and decide what that time block will be. For me, it's usually about 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Some mornings I might be up at 4 or 5, and then I have even more time to be spacious with myself, reframe my mindset and my thoughts, move and be mindful and work through whatever I need to work through to then be prepared for my day. So I feel prepared, I feel in charge, and then my day turns out how I want it to, and I control my results. So, to make our morning routine the most effective it can be for us, isn't always, like I said, about getting so much done or cramming it all in or doing a million things, but more about slowing down, taking time for self reflection, movement, like we talked about, or something that is beneficial for our mind. So when you look at self reflection, there's also something there where we can take time to look back on the day before or the week before and think about what went well, what didn't go well, what do you want to do different today, review your calendar, think about the big goals that you have. Is there time today to move the needle for those? And how am I prioritizing my time each day so that I can actually move the needle for myself, whether it's personally or professionally? When we do this, we become more clear. So we get to gain clarity on what it is that really matters to us and then actually know if we're getting there. So sometimes we can even have a goal, be working toward it, but feel discouraged because we're not looking at the how far we've come. It goes back to looking at where we're not and where we haven't been yet and feeling discouraged versus looking at how much we've accomplished. So that self-reflection is not just about how do we get where we're going and where we want to go, but also about how far have we come? What have we already overcome and accomplished and achieved to keep that excitement going and keep that fire inside lit? Because it's going to be so much more fun when you look at the good. It allows us to feel happier and have more emotional resilience throughout the day. We feel good about ourselves and what we've done. So any little minor setback doesn't completely throw us off. It's like, okay, that happened. Great. No big deal. I'm okay with that and I'm ready to move forward. I've already shared numerous examples of things that you can add right now into your morning routine. But I want you to grab a pen and paper or the notes on your phone or computer and start to list out some of the ones that have resonated for you. So I'm going to repeat some of them so that you can start thinking about what you want yours to be. And something I might say, it might spark a completely different idea for you. But there is reading a good book that is focused on something you are learning or developing for your own growth. It could be reading from a Daily Pages book. So Melanie Beattie has some great ones. There's the Daily Stoic. There are so many good daily readers out there that you could read from in the morning, where there is a page assigned for that set day of something that you can soak in for that day for your mindset. You could do yoga or stretching or some kind of slow, intentional movement. You could hit the gym, go for a walk, do some kind of exercise that is in line with whatever you're working on for your health. It could be something nutritional. You might drink warm water with lemon or apple cider vinegar or chaga mushroom or bulletproof coffee or matcha. It could be journaling. You might free flow or work on some reprocessing. So, noticing the thoughts you're currently having and replacing them with new thoughts you want to focus on and have as your intention for the day. It could be a specific journaling program that you're following. So, you're writing out responses to prompts or something specific that you are working on. It could be getting outside, getting fresh air, getting sunlight and the vitamins that you need from nature. You could spend time sitting on the couch or in a lounge chair, thinking and processing, planning, or thinking through what you want to accomplish for the day. Or maybe you're taking time to think through a solution for a problem that you might be facing. And there are so many more, but I just want to list those out as a way to get you started and get you thinking. So spend some time listing out what you want. And once you've brainstormed your list of things that you like, circle a few, start with those, block off that time on your calendar every morning for yourself so that you have that time for you, committed to you, and start trying what works. Maybe for the first week, you try three and you see how that works. And if it doesn't, you switch to something else. Maybe you commit to a month or 60 days of one routine to see how that goes and really feel and benefit from the results you get from that. And I talked a little bit about the benefits of making that morning routine consistent and why doing that is so important. But I want to add that it can actually reduce stress because this allows us to know, hey, every morning I've got this time with myself. It's like a standing appointment with me and some spaciousness for whatever it is I'm doing for myself to reflect and move and be mindful so that I know each day is going to feel so much more calm and so much more in control so that stress and worry of oh what's coming what's going to go wrong just kind of fades away. It increases our productivity because when that stress and worry goes away, we're getting so much more done, not wasting time worrying and fretting and spinning out and overwhelm and overthinking and over decision and or indecision and thinking through what's going to go wrong. All of that is a waste of time. We might think it feels productive, but it's not. So when we get rid of that by taking that control back, our productivity actually goes up and our emotional regulation improves because we feel in control, which makes us feel much more safe. I know having my morning time now that I have for myself that's so much more consistent. I feel so much more relaxed each day than I used to. I do not panic and I don't spiral out in stress at the beginning of the day because I know that I've reflected, I have planned, I have taken time to be intentional. I know exactly what I'm doing and why and I feel in control of myself and my life. And of course, things will still come up, but we know that. We accept that and understand that that is part of the journey. We can't resist it. And trust me, I've tried. We can't avoid difficult things in life. So knowing that's coming allows us to be so much more prepared for it. We get to practice this proactive intention setting each day to maximize our productivity and our sense of fulfillment because we then feel so much better about what we've done and what we've accomplished. So, we've talked about how powerful a morning routine can be and how to overcome any setbacks or things that might stop us from being consistent with that or having actually that space for ourselves in the morning so we feel better. We talked about how to make it effective and why it's important to stay consistent so we keep improving our relationship with ourselves and set the tone for success regularly and make it easier. I want you to prioritize this time for you and really take the time to understand how productive slowing down can actually be. And I know, I get it. For so long, I didn't take time to slow down or take care of myself because I thought that's not productive. It's a waste of time. It's lazy. I had all these stories about what it meant. But when I realized how productive slowing down can actually be and how much better it is for my well being long term, I got so much more done than I even thought was possible. So let's take control of our mornings and transform our days for the better. We can do this. Thank you for braving the inside of your mind with me. The better we understand ourselves, the more deeply we understand the world. And as our awareness grows, life just gets better and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review and share this with anyone else you think could benefit from listening. A quick reminder that the content shared in this podcast is for informational purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, and the discussions here are not a substitute for professional advice. If you're dealing with a specific issue or need personalized guidance, please consult with a qualified professional. Your well-being is important, and this podcast is simply a platform for sharing insights and experiences. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Until next time.